In fact, there is a metabolic amino acid disorder called sulfite oxidase deficiency, and it is fatal in childhood. The disorder is characterized by widespread neuronal injury and destruction, mental retardation, and cerebrospinal fluid levels of this enzyme called, this chemical called sulfocysteine. The effects of sulfite oxidase deficiency are indirectly related to our discussion, since the effects of high sulfite levels from alcohol consumption may produce similar mental disturbances and neuropathologic damage. So what we're saying here is that this chemical should not be in the body. Like I'll hold it up. Sulfocysteine is not normally present in the body, and this abnormal metabolite is the result of a deficiency of the enzyme sulfite oxidase in brain and peripheral organs. Orally consuming sulfites in alcoholic drinks can elevate this sulfocysteine to dangerous levels and mimic the neuropathological changes that we talked about earlier. Besides sulfites, consumers would need to ask what other ingredients are in the potent beverages that are marketed directly to African Americans. And believe it or not, they don't have ingredients on those bottles. And that was the big thing about that chemical Cisco in the past. It was produced out of somewhere in New York, and the individuals refused to put what's in the ingredients. And so for me, that would certainly shed light on the fact that we're being manipulated, because, I mean, if I said, is there a substance called Fat Boy malt liquor? You would probably say, I ain't like creating nothing called Fat Boy malt liquor. That can't be. Fat Boy malt liquor. Premium malt liquor. Got a double XL on it. 40 ounce. New, I bought this from the store to keep on, not ice, but in a bag to keep showing people that this stuff really exists. Yeah. They are marketing things that are certainly ethnic in nature, and this stuff is probably destructive. But look how easy it is to consume. I mean, nice, easy handle bottle. How much alcohol? Doesn't say, but most malt liquors have more than 6% alcohol. Normal beers have like 4 to 6% alcohol, so this is at the high extreme. But the point is, the level of marketing that goes to putting things in our systems that you know darn well aren't necessarily positive for us. Why not a 40 ounce of water? You know? They ain't got 40 ounces of light beer, do they? But a 40 ounce of malt liquor. So my question is, or statement is, for us to pay attention to actually the things that are in these substances, but really not consume them at all. You know what I mean? Just get rid of them. Don't even think about consuming them. So, going down our checklist, next piece I wanted to talk to you about was hepatitis C. And that's because of it being, again, another organism that can get into our bodies and not know how it got there. I mentioned examples from the readings. Things could be puffed in the air. Things could be spread on toilet seats. Things could be put on doorknobs. You scratch your head, eye, put something in you, and now it's in your system. Diabolical. So we start talking about hepatitis. There are really 3 forms: hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and now there's this thing called hepatitis C, which they're considering to be a stealth virus. Over 3 million Americans are infected with the stealth virus. Most don't know it. Stealth. What does stealth mean to you? Hidden. Can't even see it. Don't even know. Because it might not happen and come out until a couple of years later. Yes?
Hepatitis B has been developed during the Vietnam War with the Agent Orange.
Agent Orange?
Yeah. Like now, the veterans are being asked to come in that served in Vietnam.
Right.
Take a physical to get paid. And then you're right, it affects the organs at all time high.
So breaking that down, because they do have military veterans are the best people to be studied, because they have to keep coming back for what checkups. Yeah. Black men who ain't in the military, shoot, we don't go to the doctor, so it's hard to keep track of them. But those in the military, okay, now we can start to measure over the years maybe how much has been accumulated in their bodies. So hepatitis itself, the itis means inflammation. Hepa relates to liver, so it really is like a liver problem. Hepatitis, liver disease. Unlike the A virus, which spreads via fecal matter, or the B virus, which passes easily between sex partners, the C virus can't spread unless a carrier's blood enters another person's veins. So now a different way for this organism to be carried on and transmitted.
Needles?
Right, needles is one way.
Yeah.
But as this article is being written, it's just talking about how now normal this thing is. It affects bus drivers, construction workers, and even soccer moms. Now, no, you can't get any more diverse than construction workers, soccer moms, bus drivers, African people, European, Asians. All these people are contracting this substance. So how could it be? What's going on? You always hear about this woman, Pamela Anderson, who's some actress on Baywatch. People talk about her. She said that she believes she contracted the hepatitis V virus from receiving a tattoo. Now, I don't have a tattoo. I don't suggest people getting tattoos. I don't body pierce. I don't suggest people to get body pierced. Because what other easy way could you see to distribute something to someone's body than to do something diabolical under those situations? Health workers with a history of accidental needle sticks are also at risk. So today in the laboratory, you have to finish with a syringe, you put it into a little box, clip off the needle, and that falls into a box, a container, and you throw the syringe away. So there's now safety mechanisms, there's now precautions to inhibit that needle prick and stick happening and occurring. It goes on to say, because, and this is, the issue here is April 22nd, 2002, so we're right on point. Didn't have time to make any copies to put them on transparency for you, but I'll just read through it for you. Question?
Oh, my thing about that tattoo to special people that, and I don't know how to pass down the truth, but special people that call themselves a Christian mentality. As far as your Bible concerned, it states, I think, in Deuteronomy about tattoos and piercing is definitely prohibited. Yeah. And now they've moved, if you go in certain areas in the city, they've moved tattoo shops into our communities.
Okay.
And nobody's not paying attention, but everybody wants to be that mentality of religious, and it's killing us too.
So when I read a little bit of the affected populations, we'll kind of put that in perspective as what you said about where it's at and where the populations are that are maybe receiving these. Because a small amount of blood can harbor a large dose of virus, I mean, just a little teeny amount, and you can start to see viruses just in a little teeny, a speck that you can't even see in your finger, but a whole lot of virus can exist there. So if you're not cleaning things properly, in terms of what you're using to pierce ears, to pierce belly buttons, wherever other places people get pierced, in tattoos, if you're not cleaning this stuff properly, people can get infected. So even a nearly sterile syringe can easily spread the infection. So did inoculation programs spread the virus among soldiers in Vietnam? Are tattoo pens spreading it today? Both are reasonable suspicions, but neither has been validated, and despite years of controversy, neither has been proven. Health officials and university scientists are pursuing the tattoo question and drawing opposite conclusions. No one denies that contaminated tattoo needles could spread hepatitis C, or that clean needles could infect people if used with contaminated tubing or inkwells. In a study published with 626 people for hepatitis C, they questioned them about different possible risk factors. Drug use was the strongest predictor, but tattoos were in the same league, causing a 6-fold increase in risk. And because tattooing was more prevalent than drug use, the researchers concluded that it actually accounts for more cases. People thinking of having their bodies pierced or tattooed should look for the highest standard of infection control. Anything that pierces your skin can transmit a bloodborne infection. And two final pieces on this. One is with this the affected areas. If there's any way to look at this on the camera here, affected groups, and I'll try to break it down for you to put in your mind. On one axis, it has the percentages, 1 up to 5%. It says by age and gender. says going across the board from ages 6 to 11 all the way up to 70 plus. In the middle, you see most people are being affected. Well, those are the people that are what? Going through the ear piercing, going through what? Tattoos. Men are primarily more affected. Well, again, not solely relating this just to tattooing and piercing, because again, you're talking about IV drug use. We're talking about other ways, but you look at the people that are involved. Men primarily. You look at all these brothers getting their ears pierced. I mean, I don't have my ear pierced, and I never could really understand the reasons for that. And I'm not dissing anybody for wanting to have an ear pierced. But the point is, look at these numbers here, and brothers getting pierced ears, and now you got white people getting pierced ears. You got now people piercing everything: nose, penises, stomach, belly buttons. The other one, by age and race, from 1988 to 1994. So you got a maroon and a blue line. On this one, you got a maroon, blue, and an orange line. The orange line is the lowest. Again, you got by percentage and by age. The white is the lowest. The Mexican American, not as bad, but in the high extremes of age 60, they start to encounter this hepatitis C. African Americans, off the chart, in the middle. So when you start talking about what's in our community, you see the brothers on TV, all of them wearing tattoos. So what are then the people who are watching them do? They emulate them. I want to get a tattoo.
Michael Jordan.
Right. So you didn't see, he wearing a pierced ear. So then everybody wears pierced earrings. You see the little kids wearing pierced earrings. Why would a little kid need to have a pierced ear? Again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just talking about the realities of what could happen and occur by doing something that's not needed. And if you think about the tattoo issue, tattoo, I guess, provides color, right? Uniqueness. We don't have a problem with color and uniqueness because we got all kinds of colors and uniqueness. Europeans have been really involved in that tattoo stuff because they used to tattoo the whole body. They still do, rather. So we kind of picked up on doing those kinds of things, but tattooing has not been a part of our reality. But the point I'm trying to make is studies have shown that we are what? At the high extreme of contracting some things like this hepatitis C. Question?
Yeah, the tattoo as far as enjoyment and the influence about the small kids, they just don't know, but the influence of the parents or the guardians, it's been misinformed or figures, all right, it's a Caucasian thing, it's all right for Negroes.
Yeah.
And with the kids, man, they don't know the long-term effect that it's going to have on the parents or the guardians.
Right.
And a lot of them may have some kind of disease where that would come in conjunction with it to offset anything that they may never know about.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying by we don't know when and how things have gotten to our bodies if we're doing things at a very young age,
Yeah.
and then it affects you later on when you get older. Yes.
I have a question. Besides the use of injections, IVUs, and food things, I always thought that what would increase the risk of African American males of having hepatitis C would be, I always thought of the barbershop, the clippers. That's an excellent source of transmission. And I always tell my friends, try not to use those, the clippers that are being transported from me. They spray it with some type of a chemical. As soon as they spray it, they brush off with the brush. It needs to be sterilized. How long does it take for that bacteria to be cleaned and sterilized before it goes on to the next individual? And I think that's a great source of transmission.
Okay. A point that I would have overlooked. And you know how you start, when you see people that are presenting information on health, nutrition, diet, something dealing with information like this, you check them out, see where they're at. Well, I cut my own hair. So I'm out of that loop to actually know what really happens in the dynamics of a barbershop. But that's real in terms of if I have my wife trim up the back of my neck, oh, that was too tight. Oh, that cut me. That means whatever's on that clipper could then get in me. So that's a very serious question, but like I said, I'm out of that realm of seeing the barbershop routine, but like you said, just another way it could be transmitted. One of the other ways is also blood transfusions. If people are ill and sick, getting transplanted, or they got in an accident, they need blood. I mean, transfusions are also another way. But I want to move on to this piece of how they've also been trying to help out to get rid of hepatitis C. And it's to use something called interferon. It says when this guy who was this big fireman, he was a big, strong guy, got this hepatitis C, it basically knocked him out. And he was taking this stuff called, when he got his diagnosis in 1977, interferon was still being used by itself, and it really did not make him feel too well. Interferon is a immunological substance like interleukin, some immunological molecules that the body creates to fight like cancers. I mean, our bodies really have everything it needs. You can take herbs to stimulate those things. But no, we're taking down some fabricated things from a so-called doctor that can enhance that. So what I'm saying is this interferon piece now takes us again back to the African American community. I want to play a little piece from, it's about a 5-minute piece from Dick Gregory, putting us into context about this whole interferon discussion. Okay? Bear with me. And it's about the Atlanta child murders. Anybody have any thoughts on that prior to me playing this tape?
Conspiracy.
So, brother up front said conspiracy. Yes?
I heard that they were kidnapping the children and removing particular glands from them.
Okay, so
I don't know the truth. I wasn't here at that time, and that
Okay.
it was blamed on the Wayne Williams and stuff.
Okay.
But they were extracting things from them, and that when they found the children, they found them very aged and different.
okay.
You know.
So body parts, organs, conspiracy, anything else that came to mind? I mean, really nothing has been set in stone as to why and who are the culprits, right? So I just want to play something again related to Brother Gregory's thoughts.
Who is responsible for the deaths in Atlanta? Many theories have surfaced. Probably the most controversial theory is the one put forth by political activist Dick Gregory.
All the black children down in Atlanta. Well, why don't you just stop and say, wait a minute, first, the Klan ain't never had a pattern of going through my neighborhood killing black children. The fascists in this country ain't never had a pattern of going through this country killing black children. Black men ain't never had a pattern of going through the neighborhood killing black children. So who is it? Got to be the government. They've had patterns of doing crazy things. 40 years ago, this government had to admit now that they injected syphilis in Tuskegee, Alabama, and 600 black men, like the Klan, to government. On the false pretense they were stepping out a cold shot on them. The CIA has been forced to admit that they practiced germ warfare in the New York subway. They've been forced to admit they practiced germ warfare in the whole city of San Francisco. So this government has a pattern of doing what is that? Now the pattern is very interesting in Atlanta. First, I was 17 on all but one as exceptional students. Very bright. Now the Klan can't walk through my neighborhood and pick bright blacks because they say all niggas is dumb. I don't know black folks that can walk through the black community and determine who's the bright child and who's not. That's coming off a computer. Every one of those children have been snatched between 3 in the afternoon and 5 in the afternoon. Whoever's doing it is so cool and got it so together they don't even have to wait for nighttime to fall. I spoke at the National Institute of Health the other day, and I accused them of being the National Institute of Death. I'll be honest, the article that AP ran across the country where I accused them of killing children, I didn't say that. I said the pattern is of such that they should be checked. The Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia, that center has been in on the investigation since day one. Since when do they investigate murders? And the answer that they gave me, I am not going to buy. They said the reason they got involved because they wanted to see if it was a pattern so they could warn the black community. The first time you got in was just one day, and the hell you know we don't need a pattern unless you knew more than one was going to be wiped out. And you white folks better get concerned too. Because if they decide to go down there and wipe out blacks, then that same group come in white neighborhoods start wiping out whites and leading you believe I'm doing it, leading me believe you doing it, and they got to play white. There's a new game in town. You check the stock market in New York City. Last Friday, a new stock went on the market called biogenetics. And they never had a don't look right. And I know when I go to Washington, D.C. and say that there's a possibility that the government might be involved, I say that Monday at 12 noon and Monday night they claim they got the first break in the case. Little black dude that's supposed to have been in jail in Florida, supposed to know something about it. Well, I don't know, but if I had the head investigation, I would start first dealing with that new thing for curing cancer called interferon. Costs $22 billion a pint. And it's made from blood. But you gotta get a whole lot of blood. 90,000 quarts of blood will only give you like 3 grams of interferon. With sickle cell, because I wanted to know why would this racist government give black folks $175 million to check out sickle cell when most niggas I know ain't never been to a sickle cell funeral in their life, and the things that's killing you, they don't even act like they exist. Well, UCLA did the research and they found out something that's very interesting. The new game in town is a new thing called interferon. It sells for $22 billion a pint. And the worst form of cancer they can cure. They found out that you can make it best by injecting an infection into a mouse, its brains. But then they found out that the interferon that's made from mice can only be used for mice, that's made from dogs can only be used for dogs, that's made from humans can only be used for humans. This is where UCLA comes in. UCLA did the research and found out the best interferon that you can make on this planet for humans have sickle cell in the blood. Now they got you black folks believing something's wrong with sickle cell. It's not. Sickle cell anemia is something wrong with. Sickle cell is what all non-white folks is born with in our cells to protect us against malaria. Sickle cell anemia comes from that old ratty garbage diet that you eat. Now, the best interferon comes from blood with sickle cell in it, and you take the needle and you draw it out the head of the penis of little bitty boys from the age of 5 to 17. That's the pattern in Atlanta. $22 billion a pint. No, I bet one day, and the truth come out, and the truth gonna come out on this one because it's enough people praying. It's enough people that's serious about this. Then you find out it had nothing to do with race, got something to do with greed. And if the best interferon could be made from 35-year-old red-haired white women, they'd be snatching there.
So just wanted to play that piece to let you know that things happen in progression. We get caught up in the day, in the event, and really can't look at things in the past and how it's all connected. So the white man sometimes puts things right in front of us and we can't even pay attention to it, don't even see it. So Dick Gregory's been on point for years. One of my colleagues sitting up front here said, you know, when Cynthia McKinney came out talking about Bush needs to be checked to see if he knew about what was going on with this September 11th, well, where'd she get some of the information from? Well, from Dick Gregory. So he's like, well, here you getting ready to talk about this ethnic weapons, you're going to put Dick Gregory there again. It's like they're going to target you now, you know? Because they know they have to, Cynthia McKinney talking about she's coming up with some bizarre information. She's just asking questions.